Hey guys, so this is on a recap of Alabama season and what to look forward to, and is there anything to look forward to? So, this was the first year of Kalen DeBoer's coaching career with Alabama. They did not make the playoffs, they just missed on relatively controversial decision by the commissioners um, of college football, and yeah, it it's been very difficult to swallow for a lot of Alabama fans. I think many Alabama fans would say that they didn't necessarily deserve to be in the college football playoffs, partially because we're so used to that four-team playoff, and we're not a top-tier team. But as far as for 12 spots, I have to say that I think that as far as being in the top 12, I think Alabama could have been in. But I do think there were other teams that were left out that actually should have been brought in. And there were teams in there that probably had no business being in there. The scores showed for themselves, but what I always say is don't ever leave it up to a decision. This has been the case for four-team playoff, two-team playoff, or or tour-team championship during the BCS, or even 12-team playoff. If you're on the fringe and it goes down to that kind of a decision, you're not doing yourself any favors. You got a 50-50 shot, coin flip, and you're not going to win every time. You're not going to get the decision you want every time. But anyways, let's get into the schedule. So, the schedule for Alabama was very difficult. Very difficult. I've already talked about strength of schedule. Sorry. And yeah, it's just been very tough this season. Had a tough loss to Vandy. I think Vandy was really good this year. They totally improved. Congrats to Vandy on their major wins and really flipping that program around. That was exciting to see. I also think that the loss to Oklahoma, that was the nail in the coffin. So, looking at the schedule for Alabama football, it's not showing it, but come on. And now it's not showing it. Oh my gosh. But Alabama football. There we go. So now I got the schedule up here. Okay, sorry. I did not have that prepared. But yeah, Alabama was sixth in the SEC. Lost in the Reliant Bowl. And I have to say, Milroy absolutely tanked his draft stock this year, and I would be very surprised if he gets drafted. I don't think he is going to get drafted. I don't think so. I think if he does get drafted, it's going to be very far down in the draft. I don't know if I was going to be drafting a quarterback, would I want him for anything? He's been very unreliable. He is on a downward trend. He is not. He showed he was flashes of what he was the previous season, but he's gotten worse. and he got worse during as the season went on. So, and then the other thing I do have to mention, yes, there was a head coaching change, but I don't think that's an explanation for how much of a downward trend this was. This was a nosedive, and Kalen DeBoer definitely was having Milroy's back, and a lot of people weren't. So I don't think the coaching is an issue, and I think Kalen DeBoer really stuck his neck out for him more so than many other coaches would have, and I do think that could have been also an issue, but it also shows positivity that he believes in his players, Kalen DeBoer. So I do think as a first season, this was a very unique situation to be in following the legendary Coach Saban's retirement. So I think that 100% this season was very, very, very tough to call. Alabama was 5-3 in the conference, 9-4 overall. If you look at Nick Saban's first year, this was much better than Saban's first year. I think another thing to think about is also the aspect of having to pretty much get a team that isn't necessarily yours. He has not been able to do much as far as getting players from other schools and whatnot. He's done that a little bit, but one season is not a good look into the future of what Kalen DeBoer has to offer. I think the only thing you can look at is the coaching, and I think that there were many issues on the coaching, but I also think this is also the first season, and with a school that is that legendary, that dominant for so many years, and the standards are so high, you weren't going to reach the standards. I don't think for a first year. I think that's asking too much. Now, Kalen DeBoer knew that going into this coaching position, and I think the second season is really going to be telling. I think the second season that he has, I think there's going to be a lot of changes. I'm kind of hoping so. I also think that there's going to be more players that he is bringing into University of Alabama. And this is going to be kind of more so showing what his team and his strategies are going to be looking like. So 100%, I think that this is it was an interesting season. It was fun. It was exciting. They had some big wins, like that win against Georgia was amazing. But I think we don't have enough data to necessarily say, this is it. This was terrible. This is the ceiling. It's just not realistic. But I also think there is a lot of things to take out of this year. And I think the big one is quarterback. I think there was a lot of weight put onto Milroy. And I think he crumbled with the weight. He showed he can withstand the weight of having the pressure of being an Alabama quarterback. He showed that last year, and he showed that in the Georgia game. But he did not show that, and he did not show discipline. And a lot of the other players did not show discipline. So it'll be interesting to see how Kalen DeBoer goes about coaching this season. I think there's going to be a lot of changes, and hopefully they're all good changes. That's my thoughts on University of Alabama Crimson Tide this season. I think, this was kind of the year where, see what happens. See, is there a little bit of glimmer of hope at the end of the year for the Alabama Crimson Tide and their future? I think they do have a very bright future. I think 9 wins is very good for somebody starting out, especially in a good program like Alabama. I think still 9 wins is great. So I think there's a lot that will be told in this next season. A lot of the questions, the confusion, the coaching styles, all of that will be answered in this upcoming season. So, anyways, that's my thoughts on it. That's my thoughts on Alabama Crimson Tide this season. And looking forward into next season. And it should be another exciting year. It seems to always be exciting for Alabama. So, anyways, roll Tide.